What a shocking trade between the Toronto Blue Jays and the Cleveland Guardians. Andres Gimenez going the way of Toronto. I can't believe what I just witnessed. We'll break it down on this episode of 3 Up, 3 Down. Welcome in, everybody, to 3 Up, 3 Down. I'm your host, Peter Vryonis, and we're going to be reacting to one of the more interesting trades that I have seen. And I'm a Toronto Blue Jay fan. I'm going to get that out of the way right now. I'm not quite sure how to feel about this deal right now. So we will break it down in just a little bit, but I want to let you know that a large percentage of you who are watching these videos are not subscribed to the channel, so go ahead and hit that sub button. It'd mean the world to me because we're close to my goal of 2,000. But let's not waste any time. Let's take a look at the trade. So the Toronto Blue Jays acquired second baseman Andres Gimenez and relief pitcher Nick Sandlin from the Guardians in exchange for Spencer Horwitz and minor league outfielder Nick Mitchell. Welcome to the Blue Jays family. Now, the interesting thing to note here, Spencer Horwitz has been traded away to the Pittsburgh Pirates in this deal. So it ended up not being a 3-team deal, but Cleveland ended up getting 3 prospects in return for Spencer Horwitz. So some pretty good value there out of Horwitz. Not something that I saw coming, not something that I had on my bingo card this offseason. But here we are, and he fetched them a pretty big haul. So very interesting right there. Horwitz is an interesting one, but I want to focus on the Andres Gimenez side of things here. Return completely aside, Andres Gimenez is one of the most fun players I have ever been able to watch defensively. It has been truly joyful to watch him every day. Hope his bat bounces back a little in Toronto and he stays healthy. So he has managed to stay healthy the last 3 years. He's played a boatload of games, and he started pretty much every day at second base for the Cleveland Guardians. His defense is really something that stands out. And I wanted to show this, not to take a dig at Juan Soto or anything, because I'm not comparing the two players. So don't get carried away on that front. But Andres Gimenez had a season of 7.4 wins above replacement, which was his 2022 year, where he won the Platinum Glove, the Gold Glove. He finished 6th in MVP voting, and he was the headliner for the Francisco Lindor deal. Then he goes ahead and signs this massive contract. I mean, there's no doubt. There's no doubt that it's a big contract, and it's a ton of money that the Blue Jays are going to be taking on here. If you take a look at all of the trade metrics and trade evaluators, the Blue Jays got fleeced in this deal. But when we're comparing the two players, Spencer Horwitz, Andres Gimenez, I think Gimenez is the better player by a long shot here. And I understand that his bat has been subpar in the last 2 seasons, but it's not like he's 35 years old and he's starting to lose a step. He should theoretically be in the prime of his career. He's only 26. And he's great defensively. So even in a horrible offensive year for him last year, he had 4 wins above replacement. Baseball reference, wins above replacement, so take that with a grain of salt. But he had 2.8 FWAR in a down year, and a lot of Blue Jay fans were quick to say that this is the Dalton Varsho of the infield. Which I tend to agree on, but Dalton Varsho has a little bit more pop in his bat. Look, it remains to be seen if Andres Gimenez can get back to who he was in 2022. Maybe not to that extreme level, but it's going to be interesting to monitor. And Andres Gimenez, very interesting player. The guy is really flashy up the middle of the diamond with his glove, and one of the best defenders, if not the best defender, in the game of baseball. So that's that. I'm just excited to see how he could perform with the Toronto Blue Jays. And another underrated aspect of this is that not only is he a great defender, but he did steal 30 home runs last season. And George Springer, who is 35 years old, led the Blue Jays in steals last year with 16. So it adds a different element to this team, something that they maybe didn't have previous to this trade. And Spencer Horwitz, I don't know how much playing time he would have gotten. The Blue Jays stopped playing him at second base towards the end of the season. They didn't feel comfortable with him there defensively. Now, it's not the end-all, be-all if you're a second baseman, the defense that is, but that's what the Blue Jays thought of him, and they didn't think that he could stick at that position at the major league level, and we know that they already have a first baseman in Vladimir Guerrero Jr., who, if all goes well, if he stays healthy, he should not move a single second off of that position. He's a good defensive first baseman. He had a great bounce back year with the bat last season. It was a great year for Vladdy. I was glad to see him get back to the player that we all thought he could be as Blue Jay fans, but Spencer Horwitz was not taking away reps at first base from Vladdy. And then the only really real place for him left was DH. And you have a 35-year-old George Springer on your team. You have Vladdy, who occasionally needs some days off. You have Bo Bichette, who had 3 stints on the injured list last year. He's probably going to need a couple of DH days every now and then. And this move, it screams to me that they are going to acquire one of Anthony Santander or Teoscar Hernandez or literally any other power-hitting outfielder that is available this offseason, because it doesn't make sense to trade for a glove-first player when you know that you need offense. And we've heard the rumblings about Corbin Burns. The Blue Jays are looking to be busy. They missed out on Juan Soto. It's been well documented that they missed out on Shohei Ohtani last offseason. There's a lot of work that needs to be done, a lot of holes that need to be filled. But the Blue Jays made a couple of moves today in signing Jimmy Garcia and in trading for Andres Gimenez and Nick Sandlin, who had a decent year as a reliever last year for the Cleveland Guardians, which was one of the best bullpen units in the game of baseball. So it's going to be interesting to see where he slots into the Blue Jays bullpen, which has been labeled pretty thin and pretty weak by all the pundits around Major League Baseball. But let me know in the comments down below, guys, what do you think of this trade from a Blue Jays perspective? For me, on the surface, I'm happy with it because I think Jimenez is a far superior player to Spencer Horwitz, who I believe has a limited ceiling in the big leagues. He is what he is, going to be around a 750 OPS guy, maybe an 800 if he has a great season, but the power, not really something to write home about. And it's not like Andres Gimenez hasn't run into 15 home runs before in his big league career. He's pretty fairly consistent with a 15 home run, 65 RBI average, with decent bat to ball skills. Doesn't walk a ton, but he's definitely got some upside with the bat and the speed that we've touched on here. The Cleveland Guardians were one of the best base running teams that I've ever seen last year, and that was a big reason why they went deep into the playoffs. So that's another added plus here. His speed that he brings to the table, the contact ability. Yes, you'd like to see him tap into a little bit more power, but I think there is some more in there for him to go reach out on. But let me know in the comments down below. What do you think of this trade? And I'll see you all tomorrow.